Think about your morning routine, the smell of the grind, that first sip. For billions of us, coffee isn't just a drink, it's a necessity. It's how we start the world. But what if I told you that the land capable of growing that coffee is disappearing beneath our feet? Right now, the global coffee industry is facing a crisis that, without major intervention, could eliminate over 50% of suitable Arabica-growing regions by 2050. And here's the kicker. This is happening at the exact same time that our demand for coffee is skyrocketing. We aren't just talking about paying an extra dollar for your latte. We are talking about an existential threat to the industry itself. Rising temperatures, erratic rain, and new diseases are devastating farmers from Latin America to Africa. But there is hope, and it's coming from some pretty unexpected places. Today, we are going beyond the bean. We're going to look at how scientists are hacking coffee genetics to cut breeding times from decades to years. We'll look at drones and AI that can predict harvest yields weeks in advance. And we're even going to look at coffee grown in a lab, without a single coffee tree involved. This is the story of how technology, genetics, and resilience are fighting to save the world's favorite drink. To understand the solution, we first have to understand the problem. Coffee is incredibly picky. It thrives in what we call the bean belt, a specific zone with temperatures between 15 and 24 degrees Celsius, specific rainfall, and high altitudes. It's a Goldilocks crop, but thanks to human-driven climate change, that just right zone is moving. Temperatures are rising, and that narrow climatic window is slamming shut, modeling projects that by 2050, suitable growing areas could drop by half. It's not just heat, it's water. In Ethiopia, the birthplace of Arabica coffee, erratic monsoons are making the growing season unpredictable. In Brazil, which produces a third of the world's coffee, massive droughts in 2021 and 2023 slashed regional yields by 30% or more. And in Vietnam, the king of Robusta, disrupted weather patterns are threatening billions in exports. And we can't forget the human cost here. There are about 25 million smallholder farmers who depend on this crop. For many of them, coffee is 100% of their income. If they can't adapt, we're looking at the potential displacement of 10 to 20 million rural workers by 2050. So, traditional fixes, like just changing the planting date, aren't going to cut it anymore. We need a revolution, and that revolution starts deep inside the bean itself. Here's a crazy stat for you. Historically, developing a new coffee variety took 25 to 35 years. 35 years. That's because coffee is biologically complex and has a really narrow genetic base. If you start breeding a coffee plant today to survive a hotter climate, by the time it's ready for farmers in 2050, the climate might have already shifted again. It's too slow. But that is changing, fast. Researchers are now using genomic selection. Instead of waiting for a tree to grow up and bear fruit to see if it's tough, they use DNA markers to check young plants for drought tolerance or disease resistance before they even flower. This slashes the testing timeline dramatically. We're talking about compressing decades of work into maybe 5 to 10 years. And a big part of this is the F1 hybrid. F1 hybrids are the offspring of two distinct parent plants. They get this thing called hybrid vigor. They are just stronger, tougher, and more productive. The World Coffee Research Organization has been leading trials on these, and they are seeing yield jumps of 20% to 40%, even under stress. The goal here isn't to create one super coffee that rules them all. It's about genotype by environment interactions. That's science speak for. Different regions need different beans. We need drought-resistant beans for Brazil, heat-tolerant beans for lower elevations in Africa, and disease-resistant beans for Asia. And to do that, we have to protect the diversity we have left. Seed banks are acting like an insurance policy against genetic extinction. Preserving the raw material breeders need to build these new varieties. So, we're building better plants. But what about how we farm them? Welcome to the era of precision agriculture. This isn't your grandfather's farm. We are seeing a sensor revolution in the coffee fields. Imagine a farm where the soil talks to you, IoT sensors are measuring moisture, nutrients, and pH levels in real time. Instead of guessing when to water, farmers know exactly when the plant is thirsty. This is huge for water conservation. By using smart irrigation that only triggers when the soil is actually dry, farmers can cut water use by up to 50%. That is massive in regions facing drought. And then there are the drones. These aren't just for taking pretty pictures. Equipped with multispectral cameras and AI, these drones scan the crop health. They can spot a pest infestation or a fungal disease before the human eye can see it. This allows for spot treatment. Instead of spraying chemicals over the whole farm, you only treat the sick plants. This reduces pesticide use by 30 to 40%. It saves money, it's better for the environment, and it keeps the coffee cleaner. All this data flows into the cloud. AI models can even predict yields 6 to 8 weeks before the harvest. It turns farming from a guessing game into data science. But what if we didn't need to farm at all? This is where things get really wild. We are looking at alternative growing environments. First up, vertical farming. You've seen this for lettuce, but now they're trying it for coffee. It uses 90% less land and 95% less water than field farming. Because it's indoors, the climate is perfect every single day. No droughts, no unexpected frosts. The catch? It uses a lot of electricity for lights and climate control. Right now, it's expensive. But as renewable energy gets cheaper, this could be a way to grow coffee right next to the coffee shop in downtown Helsinki or New York. But if you want to get really radical, let's talk about cellular agriculture. Lab-grown coffee. Here's how it works. Scientists take cells from a coffee plant, maybe a root or a leaf, and put them in a bioreactor. They feed these cells nutrients, and the cells replicate, producing the exact compounds that give coffee its flavor and caffeine. This isn't just theory. In 2024, researchers in Finland actually brewed a drinkable cup from cultured cells. In fact, the Innovia Global Breeding Network was recognized as a Time magazine Best Invention of 2025 for pushing this kind of cellular tech forward. Think about the implications. No deforestation, no pesticides. You can make it anywhere in the world, regardless of climate. Of course, there are hurdles. It's currently way more expensive than regular coffee, and we don't know if consumers, aka you guys, are ready to drink lab brew. But industry estimates say this could be commercially viable within 5 to 10 years. While the labs and drones are fascinating, we can't forget the immediate reality. Millions of farmers are dealing with climate change today. They can't wait 10 years for a bioreactor. In Ethiopia, farmers are doubling down on nature. They are using agroforestry. This means planting coffee under the shade of other trees. These shade trees cool the coffee plants down, improve the soil, and help retain water. It's a low-tech, high-impact solution. Studies show these systems hold up much better during droughts than open fields. Plus, farmers can sell fruit or timber from the shade trees, diversifying their income. Over in Indonesia, specifically in Flores, communities are protecting water sources and forming cooperatives. By banding together, small farmers can afford to share the cost of those expensive technologies we talked about earlier. And in Brazil, the big players are using satellite monitoring to manage crops across massive areas. They've mechanized harvesting and invested heavily in irrigation infrastructure to survive the dry years. This proves that there is no one-size-fits-all. A high-tech solution in Brazil might not work for a smallholder in Ethiopia. We need a mix of high-tech genetics and local, ecosystem-based wisdom. So, is this the end of coffee? The research says it doesn't have to be. But the industry is going to look very different by 2030. We are moving toward an integrated approach. Genetics will give us the resilient seeds we need. Precision tech will help us grow them efficiently. Alternative systems like lab-grown coffee will act as an insurance policy for the future, and farmer adaptation ensures the people behind the bean can survive the transition. The experts agree. Sustainable coffee isn't a luxury anymore. It's an economic necessity. If we don't act, If we don't support these innovations and the farmers deploying them, that morning cup could become a rare luxury item within 2 decades. The tools to save coffee exist. The science is there. It's just a matter of scaling it up before the clock runs out. What do you think? Would you drink coffee grown in a lab if it saved the rainforest? Or are you sticking to the bean? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of food, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and enjoy that coffee while you can.